The stars hung motionless beyond the viewing glass, a sea of silver scattered over infinite darkness. Commander Ryan traced a finger along the constellation chart. His mind drifted to the stories his grandmother once told him. A lost world named Elyndra, said to be swallowed by the void centuries ago. Most called it a myth. Ryan knew better. It was late, the ship humming quietly as the crew rested in their quarters. Yet his heart refused to sleep. Somewhere beyond the dense veil of the Cygnus Nebula lay the place his ancestors had once called home. The mission logs called it unsanctioned exploration, but for Ryan it was a pilgrimage. He walked the dim corridors, the ship's lights low to mimic night. Every sound seemed amplified. The distant creak of cooling metal, the faint hiss of the air recyclers. He found himself in the observation lounge, where the great nebula glowed like a ghostly ocean. Its colors were a dream, swirls of violet and blue, threads of gold dust curling in slow motion. Ryan closed his eyes, letting the silence wrap around him. In that quiet, he thought he could almost hear them, the voices of Elyndra's people, calling him across centuries. A whisper in his bones, a promise he could not ignore. Tomorrow they would enter the nebula. Tomorrow the stars might answer. The nebula was no longer a distant beauty. It was all around them, thick clouds of luminescent dust blotting out the familiar constellations. The ship's sensors pulsed with interference, every readout swimming with static. Ryan stood at the command console, his hand steady, though his pulse quickened. Navigation's blind past 30 clicks, the helmsman reported, his voice tight. Ryan nodded, eyes scanning the dim horizon. Shapes seemed to move within the clouds, shadows of impossible scale, like ancient sentinels drifting in the dark. Days passed without a clear sky. The crew grew restless, speaking in hushed tones as though the nebula could hear them. Then, on the 7th day, the sound came. A deep, resonant hum, felt more in the bones than in the ears. It carried a rhythm, like the heartbeat of a sleeping giant. They followed it. Through fractured corridors of light and shadow, they emerged into a clearing in the dust, a colossal structure floating in stillness. It was not a natural formation. Its edges were sharp, deliberate. The surface gleamed faintly with unfamiliar patterns, like script written by starlight. Ryan approached the viewing glass, his breath fogging it. He knew what it was, not from training, not from science, but from the stories. Elyndra's gate, the last door to the world that should not exist.